Hello, everyone, and welcome to a Spark of Genius production. Another one of our patented discuss. It's definitely not patented. One of our discussion videos coming in here with another special guest from across the pond. I think is how people usually call it. I don't know why they call it a pond, but across the water here, we've
It's a very
got
large pond.
we've got our British friend here, Simon from Push the Point. Very delightful podcast with himself. I know Hamish is on there a lot, and they have quite a few special guests. I know they have some pretty great content out there, so go check them out. Maybe have two screens up, watch them and us at the same time, watch them before, watch them after, however you want to do it. I'm not here to judge you. Nobody's here to judge you here. You're watching YouTube about a card game, right? So, without any further ado, I'm joined by my co-caster, co-commentator, co-creator, co-compatriot, Mr. Rob, on my left.
Hello, everybody.
Left, right? Over here. There we go. I could never do the hand thing properly on camera here. And then below me, I know he's below me for sure. We got Simon from Push the Point. Simon, say hi to everybody.
Hi everyone, how are we doing?
I mean, I'm sure your viewers already know what you look like, but if in case any of our Canadian and American viewers don't know, we've got you can tell by his mustache really quickly who he is, because I don't think I've seen such a well manicured mustache in general. Honestly, I'm sure it exists. I just personally haven't seen it. But I can only imagine the care and finesse it takes to maintain and craft such a mustache. So that's
Well, you guys can you can blame COVID and Canada for the mustache. So
And Canada as well.
oh man, you're bringing the whole country into this. So fair
well,
enough. Okay.
it started in your country, so it
Okay.
can take some of the credit for that.
Perfect.
Okay. No, fair enough. So we're here to discuss a little bit of the upcoming events, the meta. As we're recording this, Everfest literally just launched 2 days ago in I guess North America, and of course 3 days ago probably for New Zealand and Asia Pacific and all that kind of thing. So we're right in the cusp here. All these ProQuests starting in I believe about 2 weeks or so. Well, I know the American one is coming up. The SCG Con is coming up next week or this. Yeah, next weekend I think is going to be like the first real first tournament here. But we're going to talk a little bit about the events. We're going to talk a little bit about the meta. We're going to get Simon. We're going to poke Simon a little bit about what he thinks is good, what he thinks isn't good, and a little bit about the sets. So get some popcorn, get some. I don't know what else people watch. I don't know what else people eat while watching our show. I like to eat candy while I'm rewatching editing and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so if
I second that.
Candy, a little Sour Patch Kids going on. I don't know what the English equivalent is. I know Tim Tams is Australian. Let's not add Tim Tams in there. What is it? Okay, I'm gonna ruminate on that a little bit here. So, starting off with the Blitz events, right? First of all, I know a lot of people didn't realize this, but Skirmish Season 4 is coming. And it's coming fast. People didn't know because they like to hide them in the retailer retailer news. They never put it on the front page. They always hide it in the retailer news, and then people are like, as such, I'm actually a TO. So the way I found it was a couple days earlier while scheduling events. I saw Skirmish Season 4 Blitz, and I'm like, did they announce this? Is this a thing? And apparently they did.
Right.
Just not very openly yet, which is fair because there's a lot of stuff going on. So Skirmish Season 4 is coming. It's going to be a Blitz only. I think the reason for that is just because Everfest is only a supplementary set. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to also do draft because it'd just be more tails drafting, which I think people are not sick of it. But I personally am kind of over it. I could do it a little bit later, like 4 or 5 months, but like I don't want a tails draft at the moment. So looking at the prize kits here, we have a lot of mats. Wow, that's they had the Spring Tides, the Benji specialization, that Spring Tides mat.
Spring Tidings.
Spring Tidings.
Right.
And,
that's. I think that's one of the best arts in the whole set, actually.
It's quite nice. A lot of the ninja cards, they're so scenic. They got like such good environment.
Right.
I know you're a bit of a Katsu player. A little bit of a Katsu player.
Dabbles.
He dabbles.
Yeah.
He dabbles in the art of the ninja here. So that Spring Tidings mat is doing.
What's new is they actually have 5 mats this season. Is that right?
They do have all of them. So they essentially just added all the Everfest heroes. So they have the Bravo one, all the Armory heroes, I think. So all the ones that came in the set. So they got the Bravo, they got the Icelander, they got the Genus.
What you need. Yeah, what you need.
What you need.
Is that what it is? What you need? Okay, that's fair.
That's literally his name. Yeah, that's how you pronounce it.
Wow. Okay. No comment.
He's the merchant who's got what you need. Yeah.
And then there's Valda. No, I forgot what the other mat was.
The star of the show.
Yeah, that's the Bravo one. Islander. Okay, whatever. Doesn't matter. There's a lot of mats. A lot of
Yeah,
the
as opposed to
cold
just
foil.
traditionally being one, right? Because we
Yeah,
got
it
the
used to
CNC
be.
mat, we got the
Hmm.
I
scar
think
for a
I
scar.
think they've done a good thing there as well, because some of the feedback we heard on the ground in the UK was that people wanted a like a limited playmat for winning the event
Yeah,
rather
Hmm.
than just having the same one that was given out
Like a raffle.
randomly.
fair
Yeah,
enough.
so
Yeah,
so this time they've said, well, we'll make you the Spring Tidings one for the winner, and that's your exclusive playmat. And then if you get the raffle, you get one that could have been given out in an armory. And I
yeah.
think that's reasonable.
I
I think
think I
that's a
think
good
that's
start.
fair. Yeah, I think that's fair. And then they added the cold foil. I know they got the cold foil coppers, so that's the first time you can get a cold foil copper if that's your speed. That's like the participation kind of the cold instead of the they had cold foil amulets for tails and stuff like
Yeah,
that. So the cold foil copper
Hmm.
and then the cold foil young heroes from Monarch and Tails, other than Briar because
Yeah,
of the
they're
errata
bringing
the
them
magic.
back.
Briar, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, no
I'm glad I
Briar.
traded for one recently, actually.
Yeah,
I
get them
just,
while you can.
yeah, I know, right? Like I'm pretty sure it's the errata. That's why they didn't bother because they don't
Yeah,
have a
absolutely.
errata code foil
Right,
yet. So they
that
have
makes
all of
sense.
those. I actually kind of like that they're bringing the Monarch ones in here because I didn't actually have like that much time to go get them
Yeah,
from Skirmish season 3.
Season
Actually, no,
three,
three.
season 3,
three.
right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
I
No,
didn't.
season two, I think, was Monarch.
Oh, 3
Was
was
it
the young
2?
Arya ones.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the
yeah,
young
3
yeah.
was
Aria.
young Arya.
Yeah. So
So season 2.
I didn't have a ton of time in season 2 to like go collect all of those. So I'm kind of happy they're bringing those back too. But
Yeah.
Hmm.
just based on that here, Simon, do you have any little Blitz meta predictions coming up? We have a lot of kind of strong contenders here, especially with the new Everfest set. We got Benji,
Yeah.
Kasai, Kano, Briar,
Whew.
Dada Doll, KO,
I don't know.
Dory,
Okay,
Bravo, Oldhim. There's a lot of strong Viscerai, stuff like that. There's a lot of
contenders.
Yeah.
there's a lot of strong
Yeah.
contenders. Any thoughts about that?
Plenty. I think on push the point Hamish and I have been quite down on Blitz recently, and especially with the establishing CC as like the premier format for Road to Nationals and Nats. It's really hard to then go back to Blitz, or it has been, because it just seemed like Blitz was the worst version of CC. Um, what I love about this set in particular, Everfest, is the addition of these specialization cards for the Blitz only heroes has
Mm-hmm.
really powered up some of those decks that we were playing maybe as a bit of fun and a bit like hero thematic lore type stuff,
Hmm.
and now they're becoming quite like well matched against some of the traditional powers that be. So whereas Ira, Dorinthia, and Kano have done really well in skirmish seasons up until now, I think we're going to start seeing a bit more Kasai, a bit more Benji, maybe a bit more not star of the show, Bravo and Valda. Um, I mean, Valda's got an extra 1 health. Like that slips
Mm-hmm.
by most people.
Interesting.
But
Yeah, yeah.
you're starting with an extra 5% health, and you've got access to what 13, 12, 13 armor
Of the
in
yeah.
Blitz. That's huge.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
So Benji, I think is interesting. Spring Tidings is a nuts card if you get it to work, and being able to play being able to play cards that can't be blocked from hand and then draw a number of cards uh,
Yeah.
relating to that is huge. And they've
Mm-hmm.
added the Mask of the Lynx, so you can then draw the
Right.
card that you need when you need it. So
Yeah.
um, that's going to be hard to stop. Kasai, though, I think Kasai is one to watch out for. Kasai's
Oh yeah.
specialization, Blood on her hand, it basically is like a Luminar Ascension for your sabers,
Mm-hmm.
um, but it gives you inbuilt go again to go with it. And I've never seen Kasai have trouble building copper stash, so I think
Mhm.
it's going to change the way people play against Kasai. I think it's going to change the way Kasai plays, and I'm really excited to see some of these heroes fleshed out a bit more, and not just CC Light. This is now Blitz is becoming its own
Right.
thing.
It's
Yep.
no longer a watered down version of the
No.
real format.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. They
because
have their own unique
originally,
twists on how to play these heroes now, which is very
Yeah,
exciting.
yeah, no, I definitely agree because originally like Blitz was not a format that came out with like Welcome to Wraith, Arcane Rising.
yeah,
It came out later on with the advent of Crucible of War, right? Like that, the young
yeah,
hero. So it was never really meant to It was meant to be like a casual, fun. I think it's like
Yeah.
5 to 10 minutes or something like that on the actual official page.
Was that what it
Uh,
said? Funny.
Something along those lines. But
And
I
some KO
definitely,
matches, that is definitely true.
yeah, KO and Kano.
Kano, yeah.
Kano and
Yeah,
KO could do that, but you have to have KA in your name, otherwise you can't really do it within five
right.
minutes, right?
Kasai.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the Benji comment. I think OTK Benji is actually going to be like a
Yeah.
thing that
Hmm.
wins a lot because people don't realize how easy it is with the Mask of the Links.
Right. Just
And
pull in the
so,
spring tidings and off
Well,
you go again.
the other key to that is Breeze Rider boots,
yep,
because
Right.
I think Breeze Riders has flown under the radar.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But if you're Benji and people can't block your attack from hand, every attack becomes a threat that you need to block with armor. Otherwise, the Breeze Rider boots come into play, and
Mhm.
then every attack of what might be every card in the deck almost becomes go again.
Yep. No,
Yeah.
it's going to be something to watch here. I mean, you mentioned already kind of what decks got a bit better, like Sai, Benji, and such like that. What is this enough? Like the changes to a lot of these Blitz heroes, is it enough to get them to the historical tier one of Kano, quote unquote Ira? I don't know if Ira is particularly tier one anymore per
Not
se. It might be
anymore,
one point
sadly.
five maybe.
Mhm.
I think there's some other good ones. I think Dory is always kind of strong in Blitz,
Yeah.
just because of the armor. I mean, Chain is also quite good. Chain Viscera, those kinds of decks. Do you think like are there any other ones that are joining them in like the tier one category in your mind?
I honestly think the Kasai and the Benji deck, when they're cracked, I think they could join the tier one group.
Hmm.
I agree. I think Ira's very consistent, but probably not quite tier one anymore.
Hmm.
Struggles against people like Oldham. Um, Chain has had his Dustblade taken away, so
Right.
I think people are going to need to work that more with the Rosetta Thorn, which is not a bad weapon. It's still pretty good.
It's a very good weapon,
Um,
yeah.
Yeah.
and then Briar Cheerios, you've not got your card draw from Plunder Run anymore, so maybe that takes a half a step back. But yeah, I think Kano's always going to be there or thereabouts. If you know how to play the deck and you know the lines you're looking for, it's really hard to play against.
Hmm.
And as you said, Dorinthia's just got a huge amount of armor and asks all the wrong questions of the opponent. I think we might see original Bravo, step up a bit,
Hmm.
just as people play a bit more Guardian and get used to that playstyle a bit more.
Mm.
Yeah, I definitely feel like Bravo, even with those new auras and that new kind of like
Yeah.
nerves of steel and such, to just shut down
Right.
Benji, right? Like that actually just shuts
Yeah.
down Benji straight up. And I
Mm.
think if that becomes a problem, Bravo is going to come up just as a straight up counter. It's kind of
Yeah.
similar to like, uh, the Briar meta, where it's like, oh, if everyone's playing Briar, then the decks that can beat Briar, if Briar
Mm,
is 75% of your field, those will be the decks kind of coming in here. And without a sideboard
yeah.
per se in Blitz, that's kind of going to be
Right.
the thing. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that. Icelander is also interesting. I've kind of toyed around with it. Icelander definitely has some potential. I don't think I think the issue is that she didn't get support per se. She was introduced in Everfest, so she doesn't have like that
Yeah.
kind of those
Right.
legacy cards to go with. Because
Mm,
Kano's playstyle is completely different from Icelander's
yeah.
playstyle, so you can't really just slot those cards
Like
in.
the
If you
Kano
don't,
traditional Kano cards
yeah,
into
and
Icelander. Yeah.
she doesn't get the Kano specializations like the Blazing Aether, which are extremely strong win conditions, especially in Blitz. So she has to work a little bit
Yeah.
harder. Um,
I think that's going to be a bit more with Valda and Icelander and Genus, maybe is going to be a bit more in the next supplemental set,
mm,
where they've fleshed out the Blitz heroes in this that we already had in this set, and then
yeah,
next set maybe we're looking at
Mm.
getting more cards for those. I think that could be a nice cycle, like a yearly addition to the Blitz specific meta. I think it works quite well.
yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, I totally agree.
Yeah. And it's nice
I
for
think.
people to get like a taste of something before they fully flesh it out in the next
Mm,
set. So you can kind of contemplate what you can do with Icelander, see kind of what the card pool that exists right now, what strategies exist, and then once new cards come out, it's like things just click. It's kind of nice.
yeah,
Kind of how Benji got the Spring Tidings now. It's like wow, everything just clicks now because his
You have a
ability to
you have
attack
a win
without
condition.
yeah, a win condition. I mean, in Kasai with her specialization too gave her a win condition really with her coppers, right? It's kind of nice.
I just think it's useful for us as content creators as well, right? We get reactions from people that maybe like to go all in on thoughts on different heroes and decks at different
Yeah.
times. And when Crucible came out, the Blitz heroes were they were underpowered, like there are cards that have been seeded through the sets that are starting to come into their own, and people forget that it's a relatively young card game still, and there's still a lot of room for increasing the card pool of the game.
Oh yeah.
So it's always nice to take that feedback from players and be able to talk about it on chats like this, and then look back at it in a year's time and work out where we've actually gone and what happened. I think it's
Gone
really
horribly
nice.
wrong. Genus is OP. Everyone buy all the hands.
That's
all
right.
the
Yeah.
time.
All the
Why did
silver
no one
palms,
realize
all the
silver palms.
it? Yeah.
No, that's pretty great. So talking about a little bit Blitz here, Battle Hardened UK. I feel like this event got swept under the rug a little bit because Pro Tour was announced like right before. But
Eclipsed.
I understand how devoted and passionate the UK community is, and so we're gonna talk a little bit about Battle Hardened UK here. So this is part of the, for viewers who aren't keeping as up to date with kind of how LSS is structuring all their tournaments. This is one of the first kind of launches of Blitz as a I'm going to say call it a pseudo competitive format, because I think the idea is, as you said, Simon, it's not there to replace CC, right? It's there to be kind of a bit of an extra tool to get more players into the game, playing in a different kind of way. And Battle Hardened is their LSS. They've changed Battle Hardened to traditionally just being like an add-on Friday event to those bigger calling tournaments, to also being these standalone events that you can get PTIs at, these juicy PTIs. So we're looking at Battle Hardened UK. I think it's in Leeds. It's at the Royal Armoury at the same place
It's
as
the
Nats,
same
right?
venue, yeah, same venue.
It's a very great venue. I was actually looking at it more and more, and I'm like, wow, I wish we. I talk about Canadian Nats every discussion we have, and depressing comparisons. We had a comparison with Kieran talking about their New Zealand Nats, and they had it at the Sky Stadium, and I'm like,
their venue was amazing. Yeah,
we had it in a very wide one-floor warehouse where nobody knew what time it was at any particular time. But my point is,
no sunlight, just in the darkness. Yeah, exactly.
Just headaches. And so looking at it, it's very nice venue, and so that's I believe it's March 20th.
Yeah, so the Battle Hardened itself is March 20th, and then actually, to give credit to Fabio and Ryan, who run Living Realms, they're TOing the weekend. They have the world premiere of Skirmish Season 4 on the Saturday as well. So we have
it's a double decker.
It's a double header.
Nice.
So we have the Skirmish on the Saturday, and then the Battle Hardened on the Sunday. And as you say, the Battle Hardened top two prizes or top two places get a PTI, which is a transferable generalized PTI rather than the
PTI.
The PTI rather than the ProQuest invite, and then they also get a gold for. So it's a big weekend, and I think it's interesting to see that emphasis put on Blitz, and my opinion is swaying slowly, so we're going to need to get some more Blitz practice in.
No, I know like 90% of the games I've played with you has probably been CC, just because of your general aversion to Blitz, which is fair.
Yeah.
I totally understand.
You've beaten me enough as Kano. You don't need to hide it.
Look.
Hide the pain.
Most of those events I beat you, I end up winning the event anyway. So it was just like it's a nice stepping stone.
Eric flexing over here, yeah.
No, I'm just saying it's a nice stepping stone to get into like these bigger kind of events rather than just like armories and stuff like that, right? So first question here. Are you going to the Battle Hardened? I'm going to assume yes, but I have to ask, right?
Yeah. I'll be at the Battle Hardened. The skirmish is up in the air. Obviously, I've got a young family, and I need to show some commitment to being a husband and a father. And,
I need to show a little bit of interest here in the young family, and then I can go
and build up some brownie points so I can get that out.
Nice.
But yeah,
that makes sense.
So
okay, so if so, obviously the so is correct here. So what are you liking in terms of decks to play? I know you've already mentioned Kasai probably, coming in there. I know you're a big ninja guy, so Benji's probably definitely there. Anything else that you're liking in terms of decks to play? I mean, obviously it's over a month away, so things happen, right?
Plenty of time, yeah.
It's going to need to be tested properly, but my initial feeling is that Benji probably fits my playstyle. I did well with my Katsu aggro deck for CC, so we'll see how we go from a Benji perspective. I'm really interested to completely go other end of the spectrum and see if I can build like a Valda tank deck where you just get life gain and like the blessings, the sigils, and just try and take everything.
Okay,
Um,
so hear me out. Let's go. Let's turn this into a triangle. Let's go to the third point. KO. How do
yeah.
you feel about rolling dice?
Oh,
Are
oh.
are dice? Are you
Yeah.
are you a gambling man, Simon? I know a lot of Brits love to
Uh,
gamble.
the, I'll take a moniker from Shin or Sharif, a friend of ours, and the casino is a
Oh, the
good place to be.
casino. No,
Yeah.
fair enough.
Yeah.
So I enjoy playing KO. I think he's fun, but at an armory level,
I like
Yeah.
it. I like it. I like
You
it.
can't put so many eggs in that basket
I
when you're
don't
trying to
like.
go
Yeah,
for a PTI or something like that because
I think people talk about Kano, the wizard Kano, as a tough to take to a long event because of the mental toll of
mm,
having
Oh
that.
yeah. Tell me about it.
Right?
KO has
You
no
know,
tool.
no, KO has a different toll because my heart just wouldn't make it past round three every time. And now it's not just every six attack. You've got Rolling Thunder. You've
Oh
got
yeah.
like
You got a
different cards.
specialization card that
Your
gives you
specialization card
two
ready to
dice now
roll.
every
Yeah.
time. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and you've got the gloves that add in power whenever you roll a dice. And jeez, like I just
Oh
don't think
yeah.
I could take that. I'm
I've
not that
I've
lucky.
I've had those gloves break on me turn one when I wanted to roll scab skins. It breaks. Okay, go ahead.
No,
Yeah.
No, that's
I'm
fair.
not that lucky. So
It's I think as far as fun decks goes, he's up there. But in terms of competitive decks, I mean, you can get
yeah,
obviously the most crazy opening turn of 20 plus damage, but at the same time, you can destroy your equipment, lose your turn in turn one,
I mean,
and that's just how it goes.
if anyone's going to build a deck and take it undefeated as KO in a Blitz event, like please let us
Hats off
know.
to you.
Yeah,
That's
hats
right.
off to you because
Yeah.
that is
Feel free.
you don't
Yeah.
go undefeated like just by luck, and you don't go without a little bit of luck. So it'd be interesting to
Right.
see if that sort of thing comes on.
Right.
No,
Right.
fair
There
enough.
could be a deck maybe where you just save your ready to roll specialization card for a turn when you have to go really big,
Yeah,
and just kind of play it very safe turn to turn, blocking,
yeah.
Yeah.
hitting with a 1/6 attack card, getting some chip damage when you can. That could be a thing.
So yeah.
But
No, that
that's a
makes
deck I'm
sense.
definitely going to try experimenting with because I love KO. I've
Oh,
played him
he does
when he
love
first
KO.
came out. I played him in every Armory event online on Discord. People hated me
They
for it.
they
That's okay.
call they
Just do it.
call
I
I
was
know.
known for being like someone with loaded
What's
dice because I
the
kept throwing fives and sixes.
they what was the oh yeah, so they had Rob and then in quotations Rob the tournament ruiner. what's,
Oh,
what's his nickname? Because
heartbreaker.
he would
Oh
just
man,
go he would just fight someone for like that last top eight. It doesn't matter win or lose,
that's
and just
right.
crush their dream. Uh
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
forward to seeing
it's
that.
terrible. I feel terrible.
So let's move on here from the Blitz. So we've talked about a little bit of Blitz action. We're going to talk a little bit of classic constructed action here. So we're going to
Nice.
start off with the Pro Tour, or as I like to call it, Pro Tour with a lot of O's here on the list. So I think the reason I did that is because I wanted to put pro in quote unquote pro because I was a little confused when I was initially reading it and like what exactly I thought a tier 4 event would look like because this is the first tier 4 event ever,
Hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
what actually kind of transpired here. So right off the bat, Simon, what was your reaction to like the qualification period slash requirements for the first ever pro tour? So we're talking about like your PTIs
Yeah.
usage, your
Yeah.
experience usage. What was your initial reaction here?
It, well, I think it's interesting because I don't think this is what LSS anticipated when they first set up these tier 4 events. I
Mm-hmm.
think there should have been a lot more like tier 3 events so far where people would have accumulated PTIs and ELO. I think they would rather run the experience or the rankings based invites on ELO, but we don't have a wide enough pool of events worldwide to allow people
Mm-hmm.
to do that. Only
Right.
the New Zealanders, Aussies, and the US have had enough events, I would say, to make that worthwhile. So
Yeah.
um, I can see why people have sort of questioned the experience, 90-day and lifetime experience based invites, but that's probably the best they have to go on at the moment.
Yeah.
And that's potentially 200 invites, but really there's going to be a lot of crossover between the two. I
Crossover.
think if you're
Right.
on the 90-day leaderboards, you're probably going to be somewhere close to the lifetime leaderboard as well.
Right.
Not for everyone.
And you'll probably have a PTI as well to boot.
And you may well have a PTI to boot. So
Yeah.
I think they needed to do something to make this event big, but also seem exclusive, if that makes sense. Because there needs to be an incentive to be there. There needs to be this exclusivity to be there, and be participating in what is probably the biggest / most well-funded event they've run so far, and there's a lot of money on the line.
Yeah.
So as much as I would love to be there, I'm a long way away, and I don't want to use my generalized PTI until Worlds. So unless something happens, otherwise I may not be there. But it does look incredible. Like I wish I could be there. The James White interview on the Instant Speed podcast, I think it was recently, where he talks about the special gifts that are going to be given out, and the special dinner that's going to occur, and the people that are going to be there. The circles that you're going to be networking in there are on a different level, and
very hard to miss.
As part of the event.
I love how you just called it networking, because it's like half of our job anyways. It's like content creators and like players of like a worldwide game. It's like if we weren't good at networking, then me and you wouldn't be talking right now. Like it's all about meeting
with people.
Yeah, it's which is at an event this large here. I do kind of agree that there's going to be like a lot of mix and matching, right? Like there might be about 200 people, whereas like a calling in the US could bring like 600, 700, 800 people, because it's just an open invitation, right? And I think the idea is there, right? The idea that, hey, we're going to expand this to XP, we're going to expand this to people with PTIs from Proquest, but the reality is, as you said, a lot of people don't want to use their general PTIs for this Pro Tour, and I think that's fair given the multitude of other ways to be invited to this, right? So I think it makes a lot of sense. I also think that it's very important for them to set a precedent, because Worlds is really, other than a Pro Tour, which they might have, I don't know, like once or twice a year, I imagine, like it's really that, and then you go into Worlds in Q3 kind of thing. So I think it is going to be a very, very big event. They need to put on a show. They need to try to expand the net as much as possible, because there's a good chance with the pandemic and such, and countries opening and closing kind of at a whim, there's a pretty big Asia Pacific community that might not even be able to like attend very easily, or is like quite like if you think you're far, like imagine living in like New Zealand and coming all the way like Asia Pacific and Hong Kong or Singapore, those players. So I think it's pretty.
That was going to be one of my points, actually. I think from a European perspective, we've been crying out for a big event. And they've mentioned there's going to be a Pro Tour 2 later in the year, which is going to be probably Europe-based. But having it on the east coast of the US does keep it open for Europe and for the whole of the United States and Canada.
Closer to us for sure. So
exactly.
Oh, sorry, me, not Eric. Sorry, Eric's on the west coast.
It's not close to me.
I'm on the east coast.
For Eric, it's about the same distance that I'd have to go. So I mean, you're talking about a 5-6 hour flight, right? But you're right, for the Asia Pacific and the Australasian continent, it's a long way away, and you may get people going because it is the first one, and obviously Legend Story Studios, with travel restrictions pending, will be there in some form. But it's hard to get one place where you're gonna attract everyone. I think they will get enough people, and it will be an incredible event because it is the first one. But moving forward, it will be interesting to see where they pick to host these events. Obviously, they've used Vegas already. They've probably got good contacts with events organizing people there. Channel Fireball run the North American continent events, and I think Tournament Center were due to run the EU event in Utrecht. I see only the last couple of days there's another calling picking up on.
I was gonna mention they have that grayed out square for us to check out.
Yeah, after the first one was cancelled. So, do you know what, I trust what they're doing, and I think it's going to be like for whoever's there. I'm jealous already. I'm absolutely jealous, because it's going to be incredible. There's going to be stuff going on that you can say, I was at the first ever Flesh and Blood Pro Tour event, and this is what went down. And you're going to see the normal people there. Tolarian Dropouts will be there. Saint will be there.
Right.
Like the normal casters, DM Armada and Red Zone Rogue will be there because they're huge names in the community.
Yeah.
And it'll be really interesting to be, as I say, networking with people like that.
I totally agree here. I think you kind of mentioned the pricing here. So comparing to the calling, it's actually very easy to compare because the whole weekend is just one big multi-stage event. Yeah. So like the day right after, if you don't come for the Pro Tour, you just come for the calling, and it's just another big kind of calling with a battle hardened to boot right after it. So as far as the pricing, you mentioned, of course, it's big, but like, is that kind of, we've never seen tier 4 pricing, right? So is it kind of, were you expecting more, expecting less? As you said before, like, is it worth flying over, like, kind of question mark for the other Europeans? And like, obviously, it's a little bit easier for North Americans. However, as far as like pricing itself, what do you think about that?
I think the fact that it goes down to 64th place is great.
Right.
Again, this depends on how many people are there. If they get 600-700 people and it's down to 64th place, then it maybe doesn't look as enticing. But 64th place, $500 is really good. It covers your maybe most of your flights or your hotel stay while you're there for a few days.
Right.
But yeah, the sort of top 8, to get to top 8 and know that you've just got $3,000 in the bank and a gold foil legendary is pretty awesome. I think if you're going to win, you're going to be happy. You're going to be happy with that sort of prize money. And then the top prize is mind blowing for a young card game. I think to have a $25,000 top prize is big, and that's going to bring people across from games like Magic because their pro scene has fallen apart. So I think they're trying to strike a balance between depth of pricing and the size of top pricing. Maybe they have got it just about okay. Maybe they could have fleshed out the sort of 32 to 64 and the 16 to 32 prize brackets, but we won't know until we see the fallout.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I don't remember seeing any kind of custom mat on any of the top. That's kind of one thing I was kind of wanting to see, just because, you know, everything up to that had a mat. And of course, I know, you know, you get your class specific legendary and all that. Like, that's, don't get me wrong, it's quite good, especially if you bring some of like the Welcome to Wraith heroes, the more quote unquote valuable ones. But I kind of would have liked to see a mat for like top 24, top 16, top anything. That's probably the only.
It might be that.
But
it might be that is something they release on the weekend, or it might be something that they reserve for nationals or callings or whatever tier 3 levels, right? I'm interested to see what the Pro Tour Championship card is that they win. Like the top prize.
The first
one, I believe, right? The first place card.
Can you imagine the person wins and every content creator there is going to start running towards to try to get that YouTube short?
I would love to see it.
It's going to be
huge.
Going to be sprinting.
Imagine, and I mean, I assume they're going to print maybe more of these in the future, but having a one-of card is just incredible. You don't see that ever. No, you don't see that ever.
You get a video of James White signing it if he's there. Oh,
and
my God.
Wow. James White, I'm not sure he signs the big cards anymore. Maybe he would do for prize cards.
For this
maybe
for this
for
event,
the prizes.
I think for this event he would. I think he would. Not 100% sure, but you know.
Do you know what? Segueing into the calling that we've talked about already, the prize for the top prize for that has been labeled as the last ever gold foil tunic to be given out.
That's exciting because up until that point, you didn't know if there were going to be thousands of them or if they're now down to however many like dozens that they have ever given out. Right now, it's huge. It's huge, and that sets a precedent, I believe, for other gold foils now for Welcome to Wraith Arcane. If you have one, you can feel more confident that this is going to be something that's going to hold value into the future. You're not going to feel like pressure, like, okay, I have a $3,000 card. Should I mean, I know I earned it for almost maybe nothing, but it is $3,000 that I could sell it for. What if it goes down to 500 in the next few callings? So I love they wrote that. Like that to me, that's phenomenal. Yeah,
it's good that there is a limit on those prints, but also they are now starting to give out a lot more because they're giving out like top 8s for every big event, and there are a lot more big events. So it's an interesting thing to watch, the value of these cards fluctuate as with everything in the market right now.
And looking at the market, I know people are a little more afraid of buying into these cards. because you just never know at this point. For sets that come out, if you pull a Fabled, there's going to be a limit on that guarantee. The print run is only so big. But for the promos, because they've never mentioned that they're going to stop printing certain promos, it's very difficult to justify spending the thousands of dollars to collect these.
Yeah.
And I know many people feel that sentiment. So a very good step in the right direction for saying this is the last one.
Mm-hmm.
I love
the
it.
Secondary market slightly happier, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that's one of their goals as well in this game. They do want to pay attention to that. They don't want people to waste their money or to feel like their cards are becoming worthless. Secondary market has to be huge for them.
No, it's true. I think it's a good segue to our next point about people buying and selling their PTI invites. I've seen a lot of offers for $200.
I've seen people in the Discord just kind of saying hey, $300, PM me, we'll talk, kind of thing.
Simon, I know this is probably a little unheard of. Maybe this is all the Americans, right? Because that's the biggest community right now. It's like the USA, right?
Well,
obviously. I think based on last time we checked, it was the U.S. community was the biggest. Right. They have the most events. Even recently, they've had 4 callings in a season where Canada is struggling with its 0 count, but that's
and they have the highest count also of active players on the gem system, I believe. So.
So that's kind of interesting. But what do you think? I don't know if this is happening in the UK or Europe or anything like that. But what do you think about this buying and selling PTI invite business here?
There've been people in the UK buying PTIs. That's that is happening, and it's at a reasonable price as well. I think it's tough. There have been so few events that give out PTIs in this country and in Europe, and travel restrictions have been such that people who would have traveled to callings in the States or Europe haven't been able to. So I don't know how long it will be a thing, but at the moment I can see people who are competitive players who do well in events but maybe had a bad day when it was nationals or were unable to make the weekend, are buying PTIs because they think they can compete and they want to be a part of that. I don't see a problem with that per se. The best analogy I've heard so far is like winning tickets to a gig that you can't go to, right? You're going to sell them for something, you want to get some money back for it. Although you got it for free, you might just take a lowball offer because it's something for nothing, right?
There might be an argument to say that people who kind of aren't deserving of these invites kind of now can buy them, right? But I feel that if you're spending that much money to buy a PTI of someone, you really do have to have a goal of being a bit more competitive, right? I don't think that you have just kind of people who just never compete buying these tickets to then scrub out,
I get it. I get the exclusivity, the need for exclusivity. But I also get the fact that there will be people that want to experience the event just for the sake of experiencing the event. I don't think that impacts on the top level competitive players, because if you're not competitive, you're not going to beat those players. They are a different level. So I think the fact that there's a market is very interesting. I think the fact that I know people that are buying them, good on them. If you know you're never going to use your PTI, why not? If you're saving it for Worlds, you're not going to save it. You're not going to sell it, sorry. If you're saving it for Pro Tour number 2 in Europe, you're not going to sell it. So it's people that have no intention of going to these events, or have too many PTIs, which I don't think there are many people in that situation anyway.
Right.
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense here. So, I mean, we're not going to be able to make some sick collab content if you're not gonna come over here, Simon. I don't know. I was planning some of that. It's like one of those battle royale UK versus Canada kind of things, because I know we definitely have some Canadians coming down there, I guess, for the it's like a bit of
going down.
UK. We can try something on a smaller scale in the summer, dude. When I come and
you're gonna make us you're gonna make us fly to Europe Pro Tour, aren't you? You're gonna make us fly all the way over there. That'd
be fun.
Absolutely. Come over.
It
makes sense. The UK is actually not that bad to fly over for Canadians, but once you get further, it's a little bit trickier because you got to transfer. There's not as many direct flights, but the UK is actually pretty easy for us to get to. It's actually not even that expensive.
I was trying to think on where they might actually have a Pro Tour in Europe, and since the UK has left the EU, it's become harder to hold those sort of big events and get people from Europe over. But London could make sense.
London makes a whole lot of sense. So,
but you've also then got Paris, like anywhere in Germany, any big city in Germany, Berlin,
right.
Amsterdam and Utrecht, very close to each other, have. I mean, Amsterdam has huge travel links, doesn't it? So
Yep.
a lot of flights go through there, KLM based in
Mm-hmm.
the Netherlands. So anywhere around that sort of axis in Europe could be a good shout with very minimal hassle travel wise. So
Mm-hmm.
That makes
it'd be
sense.
really interesting to see.
Yeah.
That's fair. We're gonna roll in here to our class constructed meta and Proquest predictions, and those are Rob's gonna handle those. So that's kind
Yeah.
of the bigger the bigger piece, the more technical analysis. So what I want to talk about with you, Simon. So
Yeah. I
take it
mean,
away.
so rolling into the ProQuest here, looking at CC predominantly. First of all, how many ProQuests do you plan on attending? Since you kind of don't want to use that general purpose PTI here.
So I think realistically it's going to be 3, maybe 4. So
Hmm.
the way they're set in the UK, they're going to be over 4 weekends, and there will be some people that are going to 8, which is probably the maximum I think you can make
Okay.
it to.
Is that however many are being run currently or are scheduled
Uh,
for?
how many are being run? There's 16 or 20, something like that, over the
Okay.
same 4 weekends. So some people are going to have to choose where in
I
the
see.
country they want to go. But yeah, so there should be an opportunity to get to 3 or 4, which I'm pretty happy with. I think
Hmm.
it will be my hope is that the meta will evolve over the series of events. So
Over the
I'm looking
Proquest
forward.
Right.
season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right. So get a good idea of what to expect for
maybe.
yeah, yeah. Awesome. And speaking of the meta, looking back at your winning deck in top four for nationals, the Channel Mount Briar deck, I was wondering what your thoughts were on kind of keeping that deck and kind of tweaking it a little bit, or do you have something else planned? Maybe don't share your secret tech, but just kind of
Uh,
curious what what your thoughts are on that deck, and do you think it can,
Hmm.
do as well as it did in the past?
Yeah, so my Earthbriar deck was slightly different to the sort of
Typical.
Austrian German Cheerio Mount Briar deck that was hanging around, and I think Briar's a strong hero. She can make her own go again, and she gets extra defense. And although she's been errated, and although some of the cards that were fundamental to those sort of go again decks have been taken away,
Yeah.
she's still strong. Um, there are some tweaks in the works that I'm just testing out at the moment,
Mm,
and I I mean I like the Prism matchup. I like um, the mirror. The Guardian matchup
mm,
has always been a tough one with this deck, and that depends on whether the Guardians are going to stay defensive or whether they want to get a bit more aggressive.
right.
Which with Star of the Show may be
are
a
they gonna
thing.
yeah? Are they gonna be the star of the
Yeah.
show, or are they gonna stop the
Yeah,
show? No, nobody knows yet.
no one knows.
That's right.
So I think that's a really interesting perspective on Guardian and how they're going to come to the meta. I think Prism's going to be very heavily represented in the meta for whatever reason. The UK has always liked Prism,
Mm,
but now Prism actually has the tools to do something, including 4 or 6 one cost heralds that are
yeah.
just absolutely
Yeah.
yeah,
E-
ridiculous.
Everyone seeing those previews from Everfest just went crazy on the power level
Mm,
of some of these not heralds,
yeah.
I should say the
Oh,
phantasms.
yeah, Phantasm's not necessarily
Not the
heralds.
heralds,
They're
yeah.
not light. Yeah, yeah.
They're not
Uh,
light, yeah, exactly. But I mean, she had some crazy tools in Everfest. I can't wait to see what kind of decks Prism players can come up with
yeah.
because it's I guess there's a bit of a fine balance there to walk between the light, Prism cards versus the new non-specific, non-talented, I should say, uh, illusionist cards. So it'll be
I think
exciting to see.
the Prism question now, because the card pool was even smaller than the average hero,
Right.
it's now not just chuck all the good cards into a deck and do something with it.
It's a good
It's
point.
going to be having to make decisions, and these are my favorite deck building decisions. You have to justify the presence of each card you have in the deck. So you have to know exactly what that card is there for and why it's doing it and when it's going to do it. And I think
Yeah.
when you get to that level of deck knowledge where you know exactly what you want from each card, um, that's when you crack a deck, and that's when you're at your best competitive performance is when you live and breathe the deck. So
Yeah.
it'd be interesting to see how Prism evolves with that question in mind.
Mm,
Um, the decks that are going to be competitive around that are the Runeblade decks. I think all 3 Runeblades play fairly well into Prism at the moment, so it'd be interesting to see if that continues. But struggle against Guardian, and then Guardian struggle against Prism. So I think you'll probably have that triangle at the top, and some of the other chase decks, and I include Azalea in that right now.
Okay, yeah.
Which could do something to any one of those heroes that might upset things on the day.
Awesome. Glad to see some Azalea love here.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. See, just throw in spice. Just when you're not expecting.
Yeah.
Are you talking about like I call it Deathbore. Is it Deathbore? No. What's the
Dreadbore? Dreadbore.
I kind of like Deathbore too, but Dreadbore, yeah. Dreadbore. Are you talking about Death Dealer? I'm talking about Death Dealer. Dreadbore and Death Dealer. Sorry, there we go. I'm not a super big on Ranger, but are you talking about one or the other, or just Azalea in general?
Well, do you know what the lovely thing about having Dreadbore in the card pool now is? That you don't actually have to play Dreadbore for Dreadbore to be effective.
I love cards like
that. It's just there. It's just intimidating.
The presence of it may lead some of your opponents to take out all their defense reactions, and then you're at an advantage, right? So you don't even have to play the card, and you don't have to reveal it until you've finished your sideboarding. So it's an incredible opportunity for Azalea and some of the other cards maybe that are there. I'm not saying she's going to be tier 1. I'm not saying that.
Right.
You didn't hear it here first.
No? But she's in a unique position, I think, here.
But she has some more tools that look interesting enough that she could cause a few upsets, especially. I think her biggest advantage at the moment is people won't take her seriously. So when they sit against an Azalea, they think, I've already won. And then you're on the back foot.
Yeah,
I like it.
Very, very awesome take there. Yeah, I love it. And so, looking more kind of at a macroscopic view of this new meta that's going to evolve once Everfest kind of becomes more widespread as people start crafting decks, do you think we're going to lean more into an aggressive meta, more control, or mid-range?
I think we'll probably see a similar pattern to what we saw 6 months ago when the aggro decks stamp their authority early on because they are relatively easy to play, and I say that I'm not taking anything away from anyone. I play an aggro deck, so they're simpler in the sense that you are not blocking as much and you are just chucking out attacks. I think once people figure and crack the decks that need a bit more defensive input, so the mid-range and the control decks and the switch decks, I think we'll start to see those take over when they've got a handle on their main competitors in the meta.
Right. And looking kind of, as my final question here, looking at the Proquest season now, do you foresee that kind of being the case where we're going to start off with maybe more aggressive decks?
Yeah, I think where we saw Oldham and Ice Lexi establish themselves towards the end of the national season, I think we'll see a similar thing here. Maybe not Ice Lexi, but yeah, I think Oldham and Bravo maybe doing a bit more of the work towards the end of the season.
No, I definitely.
Well, I'm gonna chuck a spanner in the works there because Starvo or Bravo Star of the Show.
Starvo. All right.
I think he's going to be an interesting one because he can do anything. He has the card pool to do anything.
Yeah, nobody's going to know what happens when you flip that hero.
You see it and like, all right, I don't know what to sideboard now.
But the key is having a deck that works. So whether you're going to go aggro lightning or control ice or big earth, or a mix of all three to try and get the hero ability off, he's going to be really interesting. Someone's going to crack that deck, and when they do, it's going to be ridiculous.
I think any deck that has the possibility, or rather a larger card pool, cannot be bad by default, I think, because you have so many possibilities with that kind of deck.
Yep. Yeah. No, I totally agree. I'm of the more consistency, reliability mindset. So when coming from original, I play a lot of the original Bravo, I guess I'll say.
Yeah, classic Bravo.
Yeah, switching build and mindset into Starvo, I guess, as Simon called it. I'm going to use that now. It's just easier to remember.
It's not mine. I borrowed it from someone else. So I can't take any credit for
that. Taking that from whoever Simon's source is, Starvo is very like, I feel like the very peaks and valleys. I feel it's very easy to just have such a weak elemental hand if you're going for like such a all the element cards block too, right? So automatically you're most. I'm not counting pulses. Pulses are different. I'm calling all the the Earth Lore Surges and So Tomorrows and a lot of ice cards. It kind of goes against the original Bravo strategy of most of your cards block for 3. You do enough of those things. You do a lot of other things. I think that deck can do a lot when it gets the cards it needed. So I think the first successful deck will be able to get to second cycle stack and just come in with like 3 or 4 or 5 just incredible turns. And I think that it makes a whole lot of sense. I think the element cards in general are just not strong enough for it to be obvious how many of each you need and which ones you need when into what matchups. And I think that stacking pattern works, but I'm also interested in Aura Bravo. That's kind of what I've got my eye on here as being got some tools. Might not be strong, but it got some tools to
something different.
Nice cards.
Different.
Yeah, exactly.
Very control based Bravo as opposed to like the original, as opposed to like I don't think the new one is going to be built as control. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Given the hero power. However, I could be horribly wrong, but I totally get it here. So finishing off here, I just got a little bit of an extra question for you here. So who are the real, in your eyes, who are the real winners and losers of Everfest in terms of heroes? I know you got that little Azalea sleeper pick. Maybe you got some more sleeper picks in the back you want to share with us also.
This is a really generic answer, but I think the winners of Everfest overall are the players and the deck builders, because it's allowed I'm going to come back to the heroes in a minute, but it's allowed you as a deck builder and a player to explore different playstyles within the same hero and explore more archetypes within the same hero maybe that you weren't used to doing already. And I think that's what people want from games. There will be a top tier of competitive archetypes and heroes. And I think that will continue to be sort of in the Prism, Guardian, Runeblade area. But I think it allows you to explore a bit more and upset people on the day in big competition. If I was going to say one deck that I think has probably gained the most from the set, I'm going to go with a classic constructed Kano. Because I think some of the tools he now has available in that deck are ridiculous.
Talking about Scorn primarily, maybe.
Scorn,
Scour.
Sorry,
Scour. It's Scour. Sorry,
no, it's my
bad. Because you called it Scorn, Eric, and now it's not.
I did not call it. It's definitely
you called it Scorn.
It's definitely Scour. It's definitely Scour.
Yeah.
So that and Stir the Wild. Stir the
Wildfire.
Stir
the
Wildfire.
Yeah. So I think those sorts of cards. Again, he will look good when people disrespect him and don't bring Arcane Barrier 3 or 4. Which is what everyone's been doing. But it, again, like the Dreadball, it changes the way people build their decks, and you can't have 3 extra cards. You need to put some Null Rune in your deck now. So I think in a non-specific way, the players are the winners here, because this set is awesome to open, and it just opens up doors that you weren't really thinking about before.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of these supplemental sets, right? Because you get stuff for everybody. Same with Crew. I think Crew is one of the most loved sets of the first 3 or even the first 5, because you just get tools from your original 8 characters that expanded. I mean, if you think about what those heroes could do before Crew and what they could do after Crew, it was day and night, right? You had I mean, I was a Dash player, so when she had when she got the purifiers, that just made it so much better. And heroes got just different play styles altogether. It was excellent. So I'm hoping that Everfest brings the same level of spice to the current decks out there, and that's just the beauty of these supplemental sets. And I can't wait till the next one. I'm really looking forward to the next one. Yeah.
Just I'm sad that you can't draft it. I'm looking forward I'm looking forward to having like a team sealed event or something where you can use Everfest packs with a mixture of other different draft set packs to just sort of explore deck building opportunities again with limited resources. I think that's quite a cool idea. I mean, I would just say before we finish on Everfest, like the pack opening experience, being able to maybe open a triple M pack
It's true. The
is
variance
amazing.
is up there.
Having an M foil, an M carnival slot, and then a more normal majestic at the end of the pack, or even a legendary in there as well. You just where did that come from?
One box with two legendaries, which we've seen.
Yeah,
I haven't opened one of these.
Insane.
I haven't opened one of these magical 1L 2M packs
yet. You've got more to open.
I've got more to open.
It'll happen.
True. No, it's fair.
Yeah.
Appreciate you coming on the show, Simon. I know we've all got an exciting February coming up, and an exciting March, and probably April and May too. So
I mean,
things are definitely happening. LSS did promise us like an OP 2022, and it looks like they're starting to put their money where their mouth is, quite literally. So it's nice to see this all coming up here, and always appreciate you, Rob. But particularly Simon for this episode, carving out some time for his day. Hopefully we'll get another video with all three of you guys, maybe like a round table.
Make sure to come and check out Push the Point podcast and
shout outs, of course.
We'll put a link in the description to their YouTube channel, of course. Very, very knowledgeable, handsome group of guys over there, so feel free to check them out. I'm talking about the mustache.
And we drink good beer too, yeah.
I've heard you're all alcoholics, and so I'm gonna do is
I've heard the sound of the beer cracking. It's always music to my ears.
No comment. Yeah.
No, it's fair. I've been to the UK. I've seen the weather over there, so I totally understand. And with that. Appreciate everyone for watching. If you managed to get this far, we definitely appreciate you. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe if you like if you've liked our content. And this video will definitely be on Spotify for those who enjoy to listen on transit, listen in the car. And with that, I'll see everyone next time.